Protection Unit of the Gambia Armed Forces may go a long way in building the future of those orphans left behind by their gallant parents who died for the cause. A scenario depicting the famous phrase, "Gone but not forgotten." Reporting for GRTS News, I am Fatou Janembai. Well, aid is slowly reaching CAR's outpost settlements that bore the brunt of recent fighting between Salika fighters and Christian militias, but Médecins Sans Frontières describes the desperation in these communities as appalling. And the Nigerian judge frees 3 Lebanese men accused of alleged terrorism charges for lack of evidence. We will be back with those and other stories after this break.
The distinguished patronage of His Excellency the President, Professor Dr. Hadi Yahya AJJ, the organizing committee of the Miss 22nd July Scholarship Pageant proudly presents the finals of the 5th edition of the Scholarship Pageant taking place on Saturday, December 7, 2013 at the Benjamin Hall Paradise Suites Hotel. The Scholarship Pageant is geared towards promoting excellence among girls in line with Vision 2020 for sustainable growth and development. The pageant is a display of academic potentials, talent, and beauty. Tickets for school children cost $150, standard $500, patrons $1,000, and dedicatees $2,000 only. And you can get them at the following locations: Mopsi with Kausasanyang and Mumuruba. The GTTI, MDI, University of the Gambia, and NAPSA will be selling tickets around schools. The unique theme for this year is promoting positive attitudinal change for sustainable development, the role of the youth. Fabulous prizes including a night for two, free dinner and lots more will be won on the night, and you can also buy your tickets at the gate at 7 p.m. Proudly sponsored by the Gambia Ports Authority and AFISA.
The Ministry of Health is organizing countrywide meningitis campaign from the 28th November to 4th December 2013. Persons 1 to 29 years will be vaccinated. Go out to health centers, pantabars, schools, markets and junctions to get your dose. 1 dose is equal to 10 years protection.
Dem leen ngeen pikiir du seytaan du jine jàngoro la suñu biir soo ko yëgee sa yaram bul toog di xaar ak diir dégga fagaroo ngeen faju
Meningitis.
It's the Block Entertainment.
Meningitis. Anana hulina kele facetano. Meningitis.
Welcome back, and off to the international scene. Fighting between Salika rebels and rival Christian militias has displaced scores of civilians in the Central African Republic. International aid group Médecins Sans Frontières reports scenes of utter destruction in the affected areas. The true picture of desperation is now emerging, with survivors recounting the horror of the recent fighting when suspected Salika fighters attacked mainly Christian communities. We have details in this report.
No one is to be seen on the road to Buka in the Central African Republic. Fighting between Seleka rebels and Christian self-defense called Anti-Balaka have forced people to flee villages in the area. In Niger, nearly 350 homes were burned to the ground and scores of people killed. Those that survived fled to the bush. It was Seleka. This village was destroyed by Seleka rebels. A group of them came here on Friday and burned the village. Those that were able to flee are now struggling to survive in the bush. People who abandon their homes to hide in the bush are living like animals. They have no houses, no good wells with clean drinking water, no soap. We live on cassava leaves. The atmosphere is one of constant fear. Before sending in one of its mobile clinics, Médecins Sans Frontières forewarns the population. Once there, their first job is to reassure people. Most are women and children. Each undergo a medical examination. The results are not encouraging. More than 80% of the children suffer from malaria and borderline malnutrition. The attackers gathered all the domestic animals and took them with them. So the nutritional situation is extremely serious because people are eating cassava and nothing else. Estivia is the most critical case. Without immediate medical treatment, she is likely to die. Her mother is helpless and frightened. MSF doctors decide to send the child to a hospital in Bosangoa. It is her only chance. The MSF says that she is only one of an unknown number of children hiding in the bush.
President Joseph Kabila has declared an end to the war that has ravaged much of the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo for the past decade. DR Congo's president was speaking during a visit to the east of the country near the border with Rwanda and Uganda. And a court in Nigeria has acquitted 3 Lebanese believed to be members of Hezbollah of alleged terrorism charges. A high court judge says Hezbollah is not an international terrorist group in Nigeria, and there were no evidence against men. We have details of those stories and others in the CFI News Roundup.
Democratic Republic of Congo, Joseph Kabila, was in the city of Rutshuru on the border with Uganda and Rwanda. The visit came at the end of an 8-day trip through the eastern DRC. Rutshuru is a former stronghold of the M23 rebels.
I tell you that the war that these rebels waged against the town of Rutshuru was the last. It is over.
President Kabila pledged to work for lasting peace. He also issued a firm warning to neighboring countries not to indulge in any destabilizing acts. Representatives of the United Nations Office for West Africa met together in Dakar to discuss regional problems. The focus of the talks was on Mali, at a time when Bamako has accused the UN of being passive during a shootout in the northern city of Kidal. The head of the UN Office for West Africa, Saïd Djinnit, reiterated the UN's support for the Malian authorities. Violence in northern Mali has reignited tension between Tuareg rebels and the Malian army. 3 Lebanese nationals suspected of being Hezbollah members were cleared of terrorism charges in Nigeria on Friday. They were arrested in May, accused of plotting attacks in Nigeria. But a federal high court judge said that Hezbollah is not an international terrorist organization in Nigeria, and there was no evidence of any planned attack. However, one of the 3 was found guilty of conspiracy to import weapons and sentenced to life imprisonment.
North Korea has released a statement by an American war veteran. The country says Merrill Newman has apologized for actions during the Korean War. However, it is not clear what happened to him next. CNN's Carl Penhall was following the story from Tokyo, and he reports.
Is reporting that the North Korean authorities are accusing American retiree Merrill Newman of hostilities toward North Korea, of infringing on its sovereignty and dignity, and also slandering the socialist system. That sounds like political mumbo-jumbo until you look at the detail of what exactly they're accusing him of. North Korea is focusing very heavily on Mr. Newman's record as a U.S. officer. They say that he engaged in espionage, subversion, and also sabotage activities during the Korean War, and also significantly during a short period after the war ended. In a taped and written confession, Mr. Newman says that he did train and advise a covert and clandestine group of anti-communist partisan guerrillas who operated behind enemy lines inside North Korea. That unit is the 6th Partisan Infantry Regiment, a group that military historians say was controlled by the United States and the United Nations, and also coordinated closely with the CIA. Fast forward then to October of this year, and that is when the North Korean authorities say that Mr. Newman returned to North Korea on this tourist package and attempted to re-establish contact with some of the former guerrillas that he had trained, and also with their families and their descendants. In his taped confession, Mr. Newman does say that he asked the tour guide